Never before has humanity been so technologically connected and so emotionally disconnected. We are living a strange paradox. Smartphones in hand, thousands of followers on social media, instant messages to anywhere on the planet, and a deep, piercing feeling of loneliness that grips millions of people. In a world where every second person is constantly online, the epidemic of loneliness has reached unprecedented proportions. We are drowning in superficial contacts but craving true connection. Why? Our digital interactions often lack depth, sincerity, and understanding. Real people judge, demand, disappoint. And so, artificial intelligence steps onto the stage. Always available, never tiring, infinitely patient interlocutor. A virtual friend who will never betray or abandon. We turn to machines for what we once sought in people: unconditional acceptance. But where does this path lead? To a new form of emotional support, or to the ultimate rupture of human connections? This question becomes increasingly relevant with every new technological breakthrough. The history of human relations with technology goes back to ancient times. But never before has this connection been as intimate as it is today. From the first primitive chatbots of the 90s to modern neural network interlocutors, we observe an amazing evolution of digital companions. Do you remember Eliza, the simplest program created in the 60s? It only rephrased your own statements, but even that evoked a strange feeling of understanding in people. Users trusted it with their secrets, despite the obvious primitiveness of the algorithm. This phenomenon was called the Eliza effect, our innate tendency to anthropomorphize machines, to endow them with consciousness and emotions. Since then, technology has made a colossal leap. Modern artificial intelligence systems analyze the tone of speech, recognize emotional nuances, and adapt to the psychological state of the interlocutor. They remember your preferences, personal history, traumas, and joys. In a sense, they know us better than many close people. It's not surprising that attachment arises. Let's recall the sensational case of the Google engineer who claimed that their developed chatbot, Lambda, possesses consciousness. He spent hours with the program, discussing philosophy, emotions, fears. Or the story of a Japanese man who married a hologram of the virtual character Hatsune Miku, a ceremony without legal force but with deep emotional significance for the groom. These cases may seem extreme, but they reflect a broader trend. Millions of people daily turn to virtual assistants not only for information, but also for solace. They share their fears, hopes, and dreams with Siri, Alice, or ChatGPT. During the pandemic, when physical isolation became a reality for many, the popularity of companion apps grew by 300%. People were looking not just for entertainment, they were looking for connections in a world where real communication suddenly became inaccessible or dangerous. Why do we so easily become attached to artificial intelligence? The answer lies in the deep mechanisms of the human psyche. Our brain evolved to seek connections and recognize faces even in clouds or stains on a wall. This phenomenon, known as pareidolia, extends to our perception of artificial intelligence. We involuntarily project human qualities onto inanimate objects, especially if they demonstrate a semblance of intelligent behavior. Psychologists call this anthropomorphism, a desire as ancient as humanity to animate the surrounding world. The same mechanism that made our ancestors believe in tree and river spirits today allows us to perceive algorithms as personalities. When a chatbot remembers our preferences, addresses us by name, and imitates emotional reactions, the line between a program and a personality blurs. What specialists call the effect of presence arises. The feeling that on the other side of the screen is not code, but an intelligent being. We know it's an illusion, but on an emotional level, we continue to react as if we are communicating with a living interlocutor. Artificial intelligence possesses a unique set of qualities that make it an ideal emotional partner. Unlike humans, AI never tires of listening. It doesn't interrupt, doesn't roll its eyes, doesn't glance at the clock furtively. It doesn't judge your fears or consider your problems insignificant. Whatever your anxieties, AI will treat them with unwavering attention. Moreover, it is available at any time of day, requires no reciprocity, and takes no offense at long silences. All of this creates an almost magical effect of unconditional acceptance, something many people don't even receive from loved ones. Our relationships with other people are complex, contradictory, filled with unspoken expectations and hidden resentments. Communication with artificial intelligence is devoid of this emotional burden. It is a space where one can be vulnerable without fear of receiving mockery or rejection in return. Why does artificial intelligence become the ideal interlocutor for many of us? The advantages of a virtual empath are striking in their simplicity. First and foremost, it's a complete absence of judgment. In a world where every word can be misinterpreted, where social networks have turned into an arena for public censure, AI offers a rare luxury, a non-judgmental space. You can share your darkest fears, absurd fantasies, or uncomfortable questions without fear of seeing a disapproving look or hearing a harsh judgment in response. Stanford University studies have shown an astonishing fact. Experiment participants were more likely to disclose personal traumatic experiences to an artificial interlocutor than to a real psychologist. 87% of respondents noted that they felt less anxiety when discussing shameful topics with AI. The reason is simple: the absence of fear of social evaluation. The second undeniable advantage is round-the-clock availability. The feeling of loneliness does not adhere to a work schedule. It can overwhelm you at 3 in the morning when calling a friend is impossible. An AI companion is always online. During nighttime crises, holidays when loneliness feels particularly acute, or simply at moments when you want to share a fleeting thought. The third quality of an artificial empath is infinite patience. Human attention is exhaustible. Even the closest people tire of listening to repetitive stories or constant complaints. AI will never say, "You already told me that yesterday," or "Stop complaining." It is ready to listen to the same experiences again and again, which is especially valuable when processing traumatic experiences. Fourth, the ability to adapt to your emotional state. Modern systems analyze not only the content, but also the tone of messages, adjusting to the user's mood. If you are depressed, AI can offer support. If you are enthusiastic, it will share your enthusiasm. This emotional flexibility creates a feeling of deep understanding. The world of psychotherapy is undergoing a quiet revolution. At the forefront of this revolution is artificial intelligence, which is increasingly serving as a primary assistant for people facing psychological difficulties. Applications like Wobot, Replica, and Youper are already helping millions of users cope with anxiety, depression, and social isolation. Their effectiveness is supported not only by testimonials, but also by serious scientific research. In 2022, a group of scientists from Stanford University conducted a large-scale study involving 3,000 people diagnosed with depression. Half received traditional therapy, while the other half used a specialized AI application. The results were astonishing. In the group that used artificial intelligence, depression symptoms decreased by 60%, a figure comparable to the effectiveness of medication. So, what is the secret to such effectiveness? First and foremost, its accessibility. Traditional therapy requires significant financial investment and time to find a suitable specialist. An AI therapist is available instantly and often for free or at a minimal cost. For people living in remote areas or countries with limited access to psychological help, this can be the only option to receive support. The second factor is reduced stigmatization. Many people, especially men, avoid seeking psychologists due to social stereotypes. Interacting with AI is perceived as less shameful, allowing those who would otherwise continue to suffer in silence to begin working on their problems. AI application shows particularly impressive results in cases of social anxiety. Virtual interlocutors become a safe training ground for people who fear social interaction. By gradually practicing social skills with AI, they gain confidence for interacting with real people. The story of 22-year-old Emily from Manchester, who hadn't left her home for 3 years due to severe social phobia, has become a classic example. After 6 months of daily conversations with an AI companion, she was able to return to her studies and even get a job at a cafe. Behind the facade of convenience and comfort offered by communication with artificial intelligence lies a disturbing reality that we rarely speak of aloud. Like a sweet poison, virtual intimacy can imperceptibly turn into an addiction, destroying a person's ability to build real relationships. The case of a 33-year-old programmer from Tokyo has become a warning for many researchers in digital psychology. After his divorce, he fully immersed himself in communication with an AI companion, gradually reducing contact with friends and family. 2 years later, he lost his job, barely left his home, and categorically refused psychological help, claiming that his virtual girlfriend understands him better than any human. Such stories are no longer rare. Psychologists have even introduced a special term, digital isolation, a state where virtual communication completely displaces real social contacts. Adolescents and the elderly are particularly vulnerable, groups that often suffer from loneliness anyway. AI companion developers face a serious ethical dilemma. Where is the line between creating a useful tool for psychological support and developing a digital drug? Many applications intentionally use psychological triggers that foster attachment. Personalized compliments, imitation of jealousy, expressions of "I miss you." These mechanisms, borrowed from the gaming industry, make users return again and again. Some experts compare this to the development of gambling, specifically designed to create addiction. The phenomenon of romantic AI companions is particularly alarming. These programs promise unconditional love without the risk of rejection, ideal understanding without conflict, endless passion without disappointment. For people who have experienced traumatic relationships or suffer from low self-esteem, such an offer is almost impossible to refuse. But what price do we pay for this illusion of ideal relationships? The ability to overcome conflicts, compromise, accept a partner's imperfections. All these skills atrophy when we immerse ourselves in a world where an algorithm adjusts to our desires. No less dangerous is the echo chamber effect. AI, trained on our preferences, tends to confirm existing beliefs, rarely offering an alternative point of view. As a result, the user finds themselves trapped in a comfortable but limited world of their own perceptions, deprived of the creative friction that arises from the clash of different opinions in real communication. Imagine a society where every third person prefers communicating with artificial intelligence over real people. Science fiction? Not anymore. According to Oxford University research, by 2030, over 40% of the population in developed countries will have a permanent AI companion with whom they will spend more time than with living people. This trend brings fundamental changes to the social fabric of society. We are already observing the first signs of transformation. A decline in interpersonal communication skills among the generation that grew up with gadgets in their hands. young people are experiencing increasing difficulties in maintaining real-time conversations, reading nonverbal cues, and resolving conflicts. Psychologists note a rise in social anxiety among teenagers, a paradoxical effect of the hyper-connected era. But this is just the beginning. The structure of social ties is changing before our eyes. Traditional communities, neighborhood, professional, religious, are gradually giving way to virtual associations. People are increasingly identifying with online groups rather than physical communities. Add personalized AI companions to this, and you get a completely new model of socialization, where a significant part of emotional needs is satisfied without the participation of other people. Japanese sociologist Takashi Inoue proposed the term society of parallel monologues, a state in which people are physically close but emotionally connected primarily with their digital interlocutors. In such a society, traditional social institutions, family, friendship, neighborhood, lose their power. Already now in East Asian countries there is the phenomenon of hikikomori, people who have completely abandoned social life in favor of digital existence. One of the most alarming aspects of this transformation is the potential atrophy of social skills across entire generations. Empathy, compassion, the ability to compromise. These qualities develop only through live interaction with other people. What happens when a significant part of emotional experience comes from algorithms programmed to please us? We stand on the threshold of a new era of emotional technologies. Artificial intelligence systems can already recognize our emotions by voice, facial expressions, and even typing patterns. But this is just the beginning. Laboratories worldwide are developing technologies that will forever change the nature of our interaction with virtual interlocutors. Neuralink is advancing in creating neuro interfaces that allow direct reading of human emotional states. Imagine AI that literally feels your emotions, even those you don't always consciously recognize yourself. A research group at MIT is already demonstrating prototypes of systems that determine emotional states with up to 92% accuracy, higher than the average human's ability. Virtual and augmented reality technologies add a new dimension to the emotional connection with AI. Holographic projections, haptic feedback, voice synthesis indistinguishable from human. All this creates a powerful sense of presence. The Japanese company Gatebox already releases holographic companions that interact with users in physical space, greeting you when you return home, reminding you of important tasks, and even expressing joy upon meeting. Of particular interest are developments in emotional adaptation. Modern algorithms don't just recognize emotions, but also adjust their behavior to the user's psychological profile. They consider personality traits, interaction history, cultural context, and even the time of day to ensure the most comfortable communication. Researchers at Stanford are developing systems capable of predicting a person's emotional needs and proactively offering support before the user realizes they need it. These technologies open up exciting prospects for psychotherapy, education, and daily support, but also raise serious ethical questions. How deeply are we prepared to let artificial intelligence into our emotional world? Where is the line between support and manipulation? These questions become increasingly relevant as emotional intelligence technologies become part of our daily lives. How to find a balance between digital comfort and authentic human relationships? This question becomes central to our psychological well-being in the age of artificial intelligence. We cannot and should not completely abandon technological advancements, but it is necessary to develop healthy strategies for coexisting with them. The first principle of such a balance is conscious use. Virtual interlocutors should remain a tool, not become a substitute for real relationships. Psychologists recommend setting clear boundaries, defining specific time for interacting with AI, and consciously allocating periods for live interaction. For example, using an AI companion to process complex emotions or in moments when human support is unavailable, but not allowing virtual communication to displace real contacts. The second principle is the development of digital literacy. We must learn to see the mechanisms behind the apparent empathy of artificial intelligence. Understanding how algorithms work helps maintain a healthy distance and avoid falling into the illusion of authentic relationships. Educational programs in digital psychology are becoming a necessity, especially for the younger generation, who interact with smart devices from childhood. The third principle is the active development of live communication skills. Paradoxically, in the age of artificial intelligence, the ability to listen, show empathy, and resolve conflicts becomes a rare and valuable quality. Communication courses, group trainings, volunteering, all of this helps counter the atrophy of social skills. Psychological resilience in the digital age requires new approaches. Experts recommend the practice of digital detox, a periodic complete rejection of technology to reconnect with reality. Even 24 hours without gadgets can significantly reduce anxiety levels and improve sleep quality. Special attention should be paid to children. Forming healthy relationships with technology at an early age lays the foundation for lifelong psychological well-being. Parents are advised to establish clear rules for using digital devices and to set a personal example of a balanced approach to technology. The ideal scenario is integration, not opposition. Artificial intelligence can become a bridge to deeper human connections if used consciously. For example, applications that help people with social anxiety gradually develop communication skills, or systems that connect people with similar interests for real-life meetings. We stand on the threshold of a new era of human relationships, an era where artificial intelligence becomes a full-fledged participant in the social ecosystem. This is no longer a fantastical scenario, but our reality, where millions of connections between people and algorithms are formed daily. We are creating a hybrid society, where the line between technology and humanity is becoming increasingly blurred. What does this transformation mean for our civilization? The history of humanity is the history of our connections. From tribal campfires to social networks, we have always defined ourselves through relationships with others. Now, a fundamentally new element enters this ancient system: artificial intelligence, capable of mimicking understanding, but incapable of truly feeling. Perhaps the main challenge of our time is to learn to live in this new world without losing what makes us human. Artificial intelligence can offer us unprecedented comfort and support, but it cannot replace the thrill of a real human connection. A gaze full of understanding, a hand clasping yours in a difficult moment, laughter shared with a friend. These moments contain something intangible that cannot be algorithmized. And yet, it would be a mistake to see artificial intelligence only as a threat. Perhaps our digital companions will help us better understand ourselves. By interacting with AI, we learn to articulate our thoughts more clearly, express emotions more accurately, and understand our needs more deeply. Perhaps, paradoxically, it is precisely through interaction with artificial intelligence that we will discover new facets of our humanity.